Ni hao. We're going to talk briefly about Tai Chi walking. Walking, this is maybe your first walking lesson. We're going to talk about how to maintain good balance and good health through walking. Now, most people walk with their feet too close together. Now, an extreme version would be, you know what this is, the DUI walk. The reason they have you do this, that's hard to do even cold sober, let alone if you've had any alcohol, because your feet are too close together. Your platform is too small. Most of us walk with our feet too close together. Where we really need to be is stand like Charlie Chaplin, rotate on your feet, balls of your feet. That gives you hip width. That's where we want to be. It's almost like we're going down the railroad track. Most of us, most Westerners, most Americans, we tend to walk kind of leaning forward, our head forward, and it's almost a controlled fall. This is what we don't want to do, because if something goes wrong, we're going to take a header. We're going to go flying and get hurt. What we want to do is not have our head forward, because that's like a 25-pound bowling ball hanging over a broomstick. Puts us off balance. We want to have our head up, our shoulders back, thumbs up. Good posture as if we're walking with a book on our head. When we are walking, we're going to do our walking exercises slowly, very slowly, and develop all these little core muscles that we're not even aware of, so that when we walk at a normal speed, we're walking the same way with that imaginary book on our head. The other problem with walking too fast, throwing ourselves forward, is like a controlled fall. We're putting stress on our knees and our hips. It's really not good for our joints. If we were to trip, if we're standing straight, probably the worst that would happen is we would sink right straight down where we are. That would be the worst. It's much better just sitting down than flying off, taking a header. So I hope that our progressive method of Tai Chi walking will be helpful to you, and I look forward to working with you more on this. First of all, we'd like to talk about safety. Safety first. That's the most important thing for you here. We want this to be enjoyable, relaxing, and safe. Our motto in Tai Chi is no pain, no pain. That rhymes with that other thing, but this is clearly no pain, no pain. If it's giving you any kind of discomfort or pain, don't do it. Along that line, once you realize that, do we give 100% in Tai Chi? No. 110%, like that coach told you in high school? No, we give 70%. 70% within our comfort range. So please, safety first. Whatever is comfortable for you, stay in that range. Eventually that 70% will become 100% or more. All right? Keep that in mind when we're continuing with our Tai Chi walking. When we talk about Tai Chi, Tai Chi is very good for your knees done correctly. Many orthopedists recommend it, write prescriptions for Tai Chi because it is so good in strengthening for your knee. However, if you do it wrong, it is not good for your knees. It won't be something that will happen immediately, but if you keep doing it wrong over a period of time, it can cause damage. Two important things. One, whenever we bend our knee, we want to make sure we don't bend it past where we can see our toe. That would be too far. We're going way too far over, put stress on our knees. We don't want to do that. The other thing is anytime we turn out, one of the standards of Tai Chi is a 45-degree angle in some of the postures and moves. When we turn out 45 degrees, we want to make sure that our toe and our knee are aligned. When you're first beginning Tai Chi, 45 degrees is probably too much. I wanted to mention that many people that study in China, let's say they go for a 6-week course for Tai Chi, come back and they say, well, it was great, but my knees hurt. One of the problems is that the Chinese speak Chinese and the classes are not in English, and people are looking at their instructor's feet at 45, not realizing that actually when they're turning out at 45 degrees, that turn is from the hip socket, that ball and socket joint. Most of us, when we first start Tai Chi, we only have flexibility for about half that, 22.5 degrees. So don't feel like you have to go force yourself to that 45 degrees. The main danger in how people hurt themselves is that they turn their ankle out there and it's putting pressure on the inside of that knee because it's not aligned. You want to have your knee and toe always aligned. This is the most common way people find pain from Tai Chi, is not having that alignment. So it's very important that you do that and not try to force yourself to the 45 when you're first beginning. More flexibility will become easy for you, but at first don't worry about that. And if you can never do it, it's not a problem. We can modify any Tai Chi movement. We're going to continue with our Tai Chi Walking progressive method. We've done the first one, which we kind of call the railroad track, because it's like we're keeping our feet parallel and approximately hip width apart the whole time. I want to mention to you also, the standard is feet parallel, but if that's uncomfortable for you, if your feet naturally turn out a lot more, just bring them in a little bit, but not much, because we don't want to put strain on your knees or your hips, because if you've been walking like this for a whole number of years, it may be too much to bring them in completely parallel. These next two movements are exercises within our progressive method. I'd like to demonstrate them for you. We start off with our feet at hip width. Remember a way to find that? Stand like Charlie Chaplin. Rotate on the balls of your feet. In this particular exercise, we step forward, heel down, toe. We come and take a half step, like a centering step, in tap. Heel, toe, centering step, tap. Heel, toe. Remember to keep your head up. Tap. Heel, toe. Now, a good way to practice this, if you're just beginning and you're feeling a little wobbly, if you have a kitchen counter at home, most of us do, put one hand over the countertop, and if you're lucky enough to have tiles on your floor, you can kind of keep track that your feet aren't coming too close together. Or either a wooden floor, hardwood sometimes is useful because it has little lines. And just walk along doing this and having your hand hovering over the countertop. Tap, heel, toe. Tap, heel, toe. Now our next exercise on our Tai Chi Walking in this progressive method is very similar to what we just did. Switch our weight, pick up our heel, reach out the length of your leg to where your heel comes down naturally. Probably a shorter stride than you're used to taking. Toe down. Now this time, instead of tapping, we're going to come halfway and just hover. Heel, toe. Half step, hover. Heel, toe. Hover. Heel, toe. Hover. Heel, toe. This is another one that we can very easily practice with a kitchen counter, or if you have available a walker, which we think of as gym equipment. It's great gym equipment. Pull very lightly on your walker, keep yourself up and erect. Heel, toe, hover, heel, toe, hover, heel, toe. This concludes the second and third stage of our progressive method of Tai Chi Walking. This is the continuation of our Tai Chi Walking. This is the third stage, or which actually generally is what people think of as Tai Chi Walking. If you search this on Google or YouTube, it'll look more like this. But the other exercises kind of get us here. What we'd like for you to do is, remember, we want to keep ourselves hip width apart. And this, what we're doing is we step forward, heel, toe. Our back foot is at an angle. And when we have it at this angle, this puts us in the bow stance. Now, the bow stance does not mean bow-legged stance. It means as if we're pulling back a bow. This is a classic martial arts stance. Gives us good balance. Makes us very, very firm, balanced, rooted in place. On this, we do it similar to our pouring exercises that we did from side to side, but we go front to back. We unweight our front foot and turn at an angle out, keeping our knee and our toe aligned. We're turning actually from our hip joint, our socket, the ball and socket there, down. We come forward with our other foot, heel down, toe. Shift back, turn out, rotating on our heel, forward, heel, toe. Shift back, turn out, forward, heel, toe. Back, turn out, heel, toe. And when we're doing this exercise, the standard is to turn out to 45 degrees. If that's not comfortable or easy for you, it doesn't have to be 45 degrees. You can modify it, bring it closer in. So it can be, just think of it as an angle and not necessarily that 45 degrees. That'll work fine for you. You shift forward and you're shifting back. Also, you'll notice that there's a slight curve when you're coming through, similar to an ice skating move, where it's circular, where that foot's coming in a little bit, almost like a centering step, heel, toe, back, turn out, coming in, back out. some people kind of feel like this is one step forward, one step back. But you're actually not stepping back, or we wouldn't be moving forward. We're just shifting back. Back. Turn. Forward. Back. This is a great moving meditation. It's something that can be practiced anytime, anywhere. This particular movement is also a lot of the same movement that we're doing within the form. This is a continuation of our progressive method of Tai Chi Walking. We've been walking forward, so now what? Guess. We're going to walk backwards. You might ask, well, what use is this in the real world? Well, actually it's quite useful because many times we need to step back. That a car door pushes us back, the rotating door at the mall, whatever. One thing that most people, when they step back, step one foot behind the other. This puts us, like doing the DUI walk, backwards. Very unstable. It also puts us in our own way, so we get tangled up in our own feet. In Tai Chi Walking, what we do, it'll actually kind of feel like you're stepping back into the side because we're maintaining that hip width apart. And remember how we find that? Stand like Charlie Chaplin. Rotate on the balls of your feet. So we want to maintain that because that gives us a very stable and rooted platform to keep our balance. We demonstrate for you this backwards Tai Chi walk. It's similar to when we were going forward, but we're doing it backwards. Now we'll start off here in our bow stance, which remember is as if we're pulling back a bow, that we're an archer, not bow-legged, but that we have, if we were to pull our feet back, we're at that parallel hip width apart. When we step back, we're stepping back and to the side, it feels like, to maintain that hip width. Rotate on our heel. Step back to the side. Rotate our heel. Back to the side. Rotate our heel. Now that front foot is unweighted when we turn it. Very similar to when we're going forward. Forward. Turn out. Step. Turn out. Demonstrate backwards again. Back into the side. Back. Side. Tai Chi, you're standing on one foot a lot, and that's why it's so helpful, because you've got weight-bearing exercises that burn up approximately 172 calories every half hour. It's the same cardiovascular rate as doing 3 miles per hour on a treadmill, a very brisk walk. A lot of advantages to this Tai Chi walking. This concludes the progressive method of Tai Chi walking. Zaijian. Best Tai Chi wishes.